Hello and welcome to Arsenal Above All. Happy New Year. I'll keep saying that until we probably get into February. But Happy New Year to you all. So we returned to winning ways in what in somewhat was a routine victory over the boat chasers Oxford. And we set up a fourth round date with Man City. And we all know what happens when we play Man City in the Cup, don't we? Number 15 nil, it's on its way. So with Chelsea continuing to spend recklessly by confirming a loan today of Joel Felix for 9.7 million and another 5 million in wages for 6 months. I've had a chat with the man Jack Sessions from Purely Arsenal, which is top 10 of 20 Arsenal podcasts via Feed Sport, by the way. So fantastic stuff, guys. Please subscribe to that. Fantastic stuff. Sorry, I'll digress. So I've had a chat with Jack, and I've loaned in two of the top guys from Purely Arsenal. Much better value for money than the Felix deal, that's for sure. Welcome, Neil Shah and James Johnson. Evening, gents. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm very, very well. It's clearly this is something that Jack's done behind me and Neil's back because we've not seen penny of this, but you know.
Oh, freebie, mate, freebie.
he's flying. Well, he lives in La La Land anyway, but he's flying, mate. He's number 10 in the world, and he's got 2 loan fees in. So yeah, he's happy as Larry, isn't he?
Neil, you're right, mate. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, happy New Year, all. Great to be back. Thank you, Michael, for having us on. And yeah, well done, Jack. Great stuff from the Purely team. Wonderful news. But yeah, can't wait to now the second stretch to the road to the title. I can't wait.
Yes, indeed. So, as we said at the top, a win against Oxford wasn't a game of two halves. It was basically a game of like the last 20 minutes where it was so comfortable. It was, you couldn't think that where that came from, but obviously we knew where it came from with the changes. I'll start with you, Neil. What was your thoughts on the performance in general and where it leaves certain players in the team in terms of, did they do themselves any favours? Those that didn't, and does Arteta have to, with a couple of weeks to go or 3 weeks to go with the window, does he have to make some serious decisions which could have ramifications in terms of the squad numbers towards the end of the season? But what do you think of that, Neil?
Yeah, it was definitely a game of two halves, and then some magical substitutions which changed things around for me. The football in the first half was almost as bad and dire as the commentary that I was listening to on ITV. Honestly, I love Lee Dixon. I love all the Arsenal legends. You know that. I'm an '89 guy. One of probably my most favorite moment as an Arsenal supporter ever at Anfield. And I love all of them, but some of their punditry from those guys, honestly, I was reaching for the razor blades at one point. I thought, Christ, I thought I was depressing, but this takes a biscuit. But no, this on a serious note. I don't know. I've got to give kudos to Oxford first and foremost. They were up for it. Of course they would be. It's probably one of their biggest games for a long time. The fan base, everything around them, the media, the hype, everything, and they lived up to it. And they stopped Arsenal from playing. And they stopped us from playing, doing what I normally do, quick passing. They nullified us. So we had a few chances. We didn't really take care of them. And obviously there was a controversial moment with. I put that down as a penalty, but it's one of those things. There's no VAR. I suppose it was evened up with Eddie's third goal. But that's the way it is. From an academic point of view, it didn't mean anything in the end. But there wasn't really that much to talk about in the first half. I think that Vieira is someone that I've got a lot of aspirations for. I think he's going to be a really good player, but I think he needs the right kind of people around him. And that was evidence when Lokonga came off and Xhaka came on. And I think it completely changed things. Zinchenko and Xhaka's appearance in early in the second half changed things. But going back to the first, Matt Taylor, I think, is impressing me more and more each time I see him. I think he's a good number 2. I think, I don't think it'll be long before he's actually challenging Ramsdale. So people keep always calling him Ramsey. I don't know why. Before he's challenging Ramsdale for that number 1 spot, because I've not seen him do too much wrong. I don't know about you guys, but the appearances that I've seen of him, he seems pretty confident to me, and he seems to do the right things. Defensively, I don't think there wasn't anything wrong with what we were doing in the first half. But yeah, Lokonga is one that I'm sure you guys thought about. I don't know. I just, again, he's one of those ones where you feel that there is a lot to come from him, but is he quite ready yet for this team? Does he need to go on a loan? Maybe that will help him. I just don't think he's the right fit to cover. So in that respect, I do worry about that central midfield, that midfield position. If something, God forbid, happens to Partey or Xhaka, I think we need that cover in there. The second half, it just as a quick overview, it completely changed. Xhaka and Zinchenko coming on, we started becoming a little bit more of the familiar Arsenal that we've seen in the first half of the season, moving it around quickly. And, Vieira came alive, 2 wonderful assists, especially I love the first goal was great, but the second was superb. His passing and his vision for that was fantastic. And Eddie Nketiah is finishing superb, absolutely brilliant. And yes, if VAR was around, maybe his second goal would have been just offside, but he didn't know that, and it was a great inspired finish. He knew what he was doing. He looked at the keeper, just chipped him, just dinked it over him. It was beautiful. Proper poacher, isn't he? Proper poacher. So kudos to Eddie. He's doing a very sound job in a very difficult situation where we've lost potentially one of our talisman in Jesus. He's come on. There's been a lot of stuff said about him in the past, even now to a certain extent. And, he's just taking it on the chin and he's delivering. He's scoring goals every time he plays. And good luck to him. But, Vieira, I think I like Eddie from what he's doing now and how he's emerged. And I've got to always give a shout to the likes of Holding. He comes and does a job at the end of the day. And I like him as a squad player. I wouldn't want him to leave. I like him. And I like El Neni as well, because he does it in his bits, in his moments where he plays these cameos. He does what he needs to do. And it was a great header, by the way. So obviously I've got to be pleased with it. It's a win in a difficult situation where, there could be potential scalps, but we've done all right.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's us winning in a different way, or different questions asked of us, and we've answered it in a different way. James, again, obviously touching on that as well. I mean, I know in the WhatsApp chat we obviously had quite a lot of chat flowing whilst that game was going on. What was your thoughts on that as well, mate? I mean, I just touching on what Neil said. I think there was the worry, going back to Eddie. There was the worry when Jesus got injured and everyone was sort of freaking out. And I think amongst us, we sort of said, well, he's going to be coming into the first team. He's not going to be coming in with 5 or 6 other players. So he's going to be around those players. And I think that's what happened with Vieira, when and El Neni to a certain extent. When Xhaka came in, he added a totally different dimension, a bit more confidence, and the same with Zinchenko, that technical security. I mean, what you saw as well, and what else was it that you kind of got you thinking, obviously, with that performance?
Yeah, no, 100%. Basically echo exactly the same as what Neil said. And I've seen a lot of people complain about, podcasters, people on Twitter moaning, and it's like, why are you slating these own players? And I'm like, I'm not slating. It's not slating. I said, this is constructive, what I call constructive criticism. And you all want what's best for the club, same as all 3 of us here. And we go on about the level, because at the moment we are top and we have got a gap, but it's maintaining that gap. And then it's, I've seen a lot of people going, oh, if we do it this year and we don't do it for ages, it doesn't matter, because at least we've done it this time. It'd be just get me one more and I'm happy, I'm content, because all these other clubs, we keep talking about it all the time, clubs on steroids, financial steroids. They're just going to keep going. So it's like, when will Arsenal get a chance like now, where all the other teams are so bad but I'm like, no. Winning for me breeds winning. So I want to keep going. And I believe we can keep going, even with these financial steroid clubs and everything else. And to get to the level, okay, Man City aren't doing the best at the moment. I think they're 2 or 3-0 down in their game. But they have got, their bench is better than maybe the teams that are 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, they can change their 11. And if their 11 didn't play for Man City but were a team somewhere else, they probably would finish 5th, 6th, or 7th in the league. And that is the level that Arsenal need to get to. And if Lokonga and Kieran Tierney, for example, who are the two that were picked out the most, and they were the two that were subbed, and you saw instantaneously. I mean, I always say what I see anyway. Okay, I make a few jibes and jokes here and there, and maybe sometimes I've said things that are maybe a little bit, they're not over the line, but they're near enough that people go, "Oh, James," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry." That's just how I thought Tomiyasu had a terrible game. I mean, I'm a guy with a terrible Barnet, but you can't have highlights like that and drop a 4 out of 10. If you're putting those streaks in your hair, you got to give me 6s and 7s, Tomiyasu. I will not accept. Okay, he set up El Nenny's. He headed it onto El Nenny's head. He set him up, so I'll give him some props there. But I thought he had a dreadful game, absolutely dreadful game, Tomiyasu. And I thought Turner, for someone that we were told how awful his distribution is, I thought he was brilliant. If you really look at it and think that the level didn't drop from having Ramsdale in there compared to him, then you've made an astute signing there. I think he's, even when he's been in the Europa League and stuff, Neil, I think he's been all right. I've not had any problem with him whatsoever. It's not like Renarson and all them, where the ball's going through his hands and everything. This guy, I'm like, no, okay, at first in pre-season, I was looking, going, not sure. But no, he's come in, done his job. He doesn't complain. When he plays, he's happy to play. And yeah, more for it. But no, you're talking about Nketiah and everything else and what players stood out. I think Vieira showed, okay, that they're 15th in League One. So, you take it with a pinch of salt. But no, I thought, especially when the subs come on, it allowed him to get higher up, which is what he wants to do. That's where he wants to be. And I just think get him on the same training plan that, the Nketiah and the Martinelli's been doing. Because the minute that guy toughens up a bit, he'll be unbelievable. You can just see. We all know players when we see them. Look at when we all saw Vieira, when we saw the original Vieira come on against Sheffield Wednesday. Everyone went, "Oh, who's this gangly? Who's this gangly lad coming on here?" And then look at what the player he turned out to be. So I expect the same from this one.
Yeah, I mean, the worry again. The worry for me is, as you touched on, James, with the squad. I think the performance showed, and the way those players, Tomiyasu, Lokonga, it disappointed with Tomiyasu because obviously he started the season unfit, didn't get his place back, but obviously because Ben White was playing so well. And apparently that's what Arteta wanted to do with him anyway. He wanted to play right back anyway, so he would have maybe started, number 2. But it just proves that the squad, isn't there yet. You're talking about obviously exactly what you just said about City, about their squad, and people are talking about if we get Mudryk, who does he start ahead of, and it's not about that. It's about getting a squad so you can rotate players and that level doesn't drop. That's basically that's what it is, because you've got a guy there, you've got Arteta who knows exactly what's coming, down the line. He knows, he's thinking, at the time when Pep was talking about how great Arteta was and this and that, we all sort of thought, oh, he's just blowing smoke up there. He's just trying to get his mate in. He wants to keep him sweet. But now it turns out that he was saying stuff about, no, this guy was a monster on the training pitch. Conversations he had with him and stuff like that. He knows what it takes to, he knows what's coming. He knows what levels need to be achieved, what level the squad needs to be. So that would have been a really good food for thought for him to say, well, look, I'm sure the Congo will go out on loan if they can get him out on loan somewhere.
Can I just add as well, Michael? Sorry, one of the most interesting things, and I know we brought it up in the WhatsApp chat, but I thought it'd be good, as well for the listeners, is when Smith Rowe come on, he didn't play at the 10, and he didn't play on the left wing. He put him at the 8.
Yeah,
and that for me, if that's where he's going to come on, if he can let Xhaka off early or get Odegaard off early, and because if you look at Man City with Gundogan, okay, they're not the same sort of player, but that season when Gundogan done it, he come in and chipped in, what was it, 15 or so goals?
Yeah, scored quite a few. Yeah.
Smith Rowe in the 8, because as well as he is going forward, that guy tracks back, and plus he wins possession high as well, like Odegaard does. I think when he was fit, he was got to be in our top 3 in terms of ball recovering from the high position. So he's going to be a monster in that number. Trust me, mate. He's going to be so good for us in the 8. It's going to that is that guy's future for me, and I think he's going to be sublime there. And I can't wait. But sadly, I think that is going to spell the end for Lokonga at the moment. Again, I do feel quite sorry for the guy, because you saw in the documentary that he wanted games, and he was, like Eddie did that podcast. If I start, you'll see what you, and he probably feels the same way. And when he has been brought on, sadly, he's flattered to impress, sadly. And like we said, it's all about getting that bench and that level. That's what we need to go.
Yeah,
I think a loan would be the best thing for him.
Yeah,
but I would like it. I know everyone says give him back to Burnley and Vince. I want him loaned in the Prem. I think he needs to play against Prem teams.
I mean, it's interesting to see what Patino's doing at the moment and what shape he comes back in.
Yeah,
because that move looks really, really beneficial to him and obviously for us. So that's going to be interesting. So I don't know. I wouldn't mind if he went to Burnley, because again, they're playing weekend and playing on Tuesday, Wednesday. We've got how many 46 games they've got to play, and Kompany seems to be on this trajectory. He's one of these sort of forward-thinking managers. Obviously, he's been around Arteta and Pep. So, what do you think, Neil? Do you think we should sell him off? He obviously get a decent price for him, or do you think there's still something in there for him? Because the thing with him, what I found is that when he has come in, he hasn't had an outstanding hour or 60 minutes. So he just the game just seems to pass him by. Whatever way he seems to play, or whoever we play against, or whoever he plays against. Even if you're playing against someone who maybe isn't the strongest party or Xhaka, doesn't mean that your level shouldn't. You should still be able to step up and show that. Look, boss, give me 20 minutes against. Give me a chance. But he hasn't done that. Bar, I think there was the Newcastle game last season when he was hitting some passes to Saka and stuff like that. I remember he picked him out for a pass or something. And then since then, he's not done it. What do you think, Neil? What would you do with him?
It's a hard one. See, the thing is, we are a club of sentiment, and we are a nice club, and we're nice to players. We give them, I think, sometimes too long, and I've always felt that as much as I love all the players, and especially the ones with big personalities. You mentioned Matt Taylor, Turner a little while ago. James, the goalkeeper. I think he's a really good squad person as well, because I've seen videos of him. There's all of that. So it's not just what you do on the pitch; it's how you are affecting the players around you in the background. And then obviously this guy's there. I think one of the problems he's got is because he's not getting game time. I think it's almost like it's affecting him in a detrimental way, which isn't good. And I don't know if that's negative energy that feeds off onto the players. I don't think that's a good thing. So for that reason, he should definitely go, whether that be by route of a loan or actually just get rid of him by way of a sale, maybe. I don't know if he's ever going to be. You see, the thing is for me, Michael, I've had enough of the future. I want now. And now means we get good players in now, not for the next 3-4 years or 5 years. Yeah, of course you've got to build for the future as well. But I feel we've got loads already in the academy. We've got a great academy. We've got one of the best in the country, if not the best. So we've got that. We don't need more players coming in from external sources for the future, because I think we've got a plethora of that already. And so for me, if we're going to get anyone in, it has to be for the now. And if that happens, say we do get rid of Lokonga on loan, and then we get some players in that position or his position, when's he going to get a chance anyway, even if he comes back? So I actually would err on the side of putting him out for sale, to be fair, because it's good for him. It's good for his, as an individual. And I think we've got to get rid of this sentiment in our ethos. We've just got to say, we are Arsenal Football Club. We are now dealing with a situation where we are playing well again. We're on the front foot. And we want to, as James said earlier, we've got to maintain that and keep ahead of the crowd. We're competing with all these big financial superpowers, You know, God forbid Tottenham get bought out by Qatar or whatever it is, and God, we've got that to deal with as well. But you know, we're doing it the right way. I would say in the best way we can. Some people might argue against that, saying we've spent loads of money as well. But yeah, I just feel that the time is now. So we've got to get rid of those players and get the decent ones in to bolster the squad. That's my opinion.
Yep.
I wouldn't worry about that, Neil. You know, when you like buy something in the shop and you get the big receipt, and it's like, if you're not satisfied after 28 days, I'm telling you, those Qataris will be those 28 days after watching them lot. They'll be like, take it, come on. You know, even if they'll even go to them, look, put it on give me a credit note. Even I won't even forget the money. Just put it on I'll give me a voucher. I'm telling you, mate, they will not. They won't. They'll want their money back within those 28 days, man. Trust me. They don't just spend their money on any old stuff. Them lot, mate. It's got to be good. It's premium.
Let's hope so. Anyway, so let's just touching on Eddie. Just before we move on. I think he's got a stat I saw, which since the start of last season, he's had 24 starts and he's scored 17 goals. And I think I said in the last one, I mean, his record in terms of that, I don't think, you know, he's up there with your likes of your Haalands and your Kanes in terms of those figures, those numbers. There's no one else in the league. You know, Salah would have done that maybe a couple of seasons ago, but I don't know. I don't know if I don't want to put the pictures. There's a picture of him, I think 10 years ago, I think, or 15 years ago, or something like that. And then there's a picture of him today with his top off. And you know, this is a kids will, I think, watch this. So I didn't want to put anything up there like that. But you can see he's developed. You know, he's a lot stronger, and he's doing the job. I think in the chat, I think I said, you know, he's having a bit of a stinker. The ball's not sticking up to him. You know, he's looking. You know, his first touch was just horrible. You know, all the time. You know, and then he pops up and he scores that goal. You know, and then he scores the other one, which is a lovely little dink. You know, as you said, and you know it's funny how we're not mentioning Jesus at all, are we? We're not even worried about when he does come back. You know, in terms of that, I know he'd add something different, Jesus, in terms of his work rate and everything like that. But if this guy's scoring goals like that, you can't. You know, he's how can you take him out the side? You know, how can you this is what it's all about at the end of the day, at the top end, at the sharp end of the season. And he did it last year. He was let down by the rest of the team, didn't he? He did the job for us. He scored the goals for us. You know, we were trying to get into the Champions League last year, but you can't knock this kid. You know, this guy is a born finisher. I know, James, you've been banging the drum for a long time, man, and he's 23 still. You know, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens next season when Balogun comes back, and he's doing bits for Reims as well, and then obviously, what does he do? Does he go out on loan again, or or we could have to sell one of these two? So again, it's about the levels, isn't it? What levels are they going to be up to? And I don't think we can think of getting rid of someone like Eddie Nketiah right now. It does a bit. Think about next summer, because obviously, fingers crossed, we'll get to where we want to be in the Champions League, and who's going to want to walk away from that, playing Champions League football for the club that they've been through for so many years. So it's going to be interesting. I think transfer wise, I mean, what would you think about someone like El Neni as well? I mean, again, a couple of times he was just too cautious, too safe. I thought, really, really safe. Is he again someone that you don't look to offload him in the summer? But as Neil was saying, he's not at that level, is he? He's not at that level that you need someone to be at, to make sure the level doesn't drop. And it's going to be very hard. I think getting the replacement for a Partey or someone like him is the key one. I think you said it in the chat, James. So I think that's the one we'll have to focus on. If you get Mudryk in, then that's the one we have to. Because going forward, strikers, we're still covered with that forwards. But I think that Partey, if he drops an injury, that's where it all falls down, doesn't it, James?
100%, mate. 100%. Sadly, you know that El Neni can come in and he can give you a couple of games, but you know that he can't sustain a long period. Sadly, I like the guy. I think the club love the guy. I mean, every time that he plays, when Arteta comes on at the end, he beelines for him straight away. I think he is basically he is a manager's dream. Like, we've all worked jobs in certain places, and there's that you've just every job you're in, you've got a Mr. Dependable guy.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier about Turner, doesn't complain, doesn't much. You need me, boss. I'm there for you. If you need me, I'm there. That's El Neni. I think if you even asked El Neni to play a position that's not his because we were short, yep, all right, no worries. He's just one of them type of people. And he costs £5 million. And yet people are like, no, he should be doing this. He should be doing. He costs £5 million. He's not Zidane. Like, what do you expect? What were you expecting from him? Like, do you know what I mean? I don't. I understand that you have to, like Neil said, the sentiment has to go, and I think potentially he will be maybe one of the ones that does leave, and sadly Holding, and I think Tierney will look at it and go, I'm not first choice here, so he might go as well, and Tierney will probably command a bit of money. So you're talking about the price that Mudryk will cost us now is probably a lot, and it could be our highest ever transfer that we've ever paid. You know, it could. Yeah. I don't think it will eclipse Pepe, but it could be. You know, he was 72.5, wasn't he? I think.
Yeah.
This could be 75, maybe 80, give or take. You know, add-ons and everything. But in the summer, with the sale of Tierney, I think Holding still got 2 years, but he might go. On a good day, Holding could get you anywhere between 10, 12, maybe mil or so from somebody. El Neni, I think he's out of contract, so we probably won't get anything there. But you recoup about 30 or 40 back from the sale of Holding and Tierney. And then, like you've mentioned, that number 6 in the summer, you know, you never know with us lot. We could do a badness and we could get everything we need now. You don't know. You don't know. The way things are going, it's weird out here, mate. It's absolutely weird. Because they might look at it like we said. We're in the title, you know, we could win this title. So give him, you know, Josh could go to his dad, Daddy, please, look, this is the only thing that we've not won at yet. And I want to win. So can you please give him what he needs? That's what I go to bed at night dreaming about, is that he gets his dad to get the checkbook. But you never know. You never know. But yeah, you 100%, if we don't do it now, in the summer, that number 6 has to be the main. Because it's like you said, wingers, forwards, especially if Mudryk comes in, sorted. Don't need to. Don't need it. Sorted. You know, and Nketiah, okay, very similar into what we used to have with Aubameyang and Lacazette. Lacazette was a better footballer, but didn't really get you the goals. Aubameyang got you the goals. Weren't that great of a footballer. And Nketiah is learning to become a better, and I've seen it. I've seen he makes more intelligent runs. He's obviously he's made himself stronger and trying to get better at holding the ball up and doing what Jesus does. I've seen that level to his game that he's trying to increase. But like you said earlier, you can't complain. I've always said, give that boy the chance and give that boy the ball, and he will score you goals because he's natural. And I saw that from the first game that he ever played. I think he come on and scored. What was it? First touch he had. Norwich on his debut, whatever it was, in the Carabao. That guy will always score goals, mate. He's just what he's. This is life.
Ball finisher. Yeah. So yeah, we'll leave it there. We'll park it there for the talk about Oxford and obviously the performance. But after a quick break, we'll talk about obviously our trip to the dark side, the Shadow Dwellers. Skynet, what else? Death Star, what else? Yeah, just a place you don't want to go to. We just so we'll be unfortunately be going there on Sunday. Hope everyone is safe who gets there on off the pitch as well. But we'll be talking about those Muppets unfortunately after this. So North London derby. We have obviously had a great performance against them earlier in the season, where obviously me and James went through our X1s, our lineups, and I think James got his one spot on. Obviously, they normally say this is a game, obviously it's a derby, so things go out the window, form goes out the window. But it's interesting this season because last year when we played them, Ben White was probably 50% fit. We had to play Holding, we had to play Cedric, we had to put Tommy Asu over onto the other side. Everything was all disrupted. Not the case this time. We'll basically be going there with a full strength team, bar obviously Jesus up top. I'll start with you, Neil. Neil, do you think this is going to be a game where form will come into it, or do you think the form that we've shown comes into it, or do you think it's just going to be like another derby? We've just got to win our battles, get over the refereeing and the atmosphere, and then just try and dig in and get something and get the hell out of there.
Well, Kane will get a penalty for sure, so
Yeah.
that's given. Hopefully, he misses it for the first time against us, but we'll see. Yeah, I'd like to say that no form is never a constituent part of a North London derby. It is on the day, but I think on this occasion maybe I might change that slightly. I think it's going to have to play a bit of a part because we've been playing so well. We've been doing it very differently this season, very very on the front foot, attacking fast, getting going quickly. I've noticed some of our greatest wins against them, we've always found ourselves a couple of goals or a goal behind, and we've come back and won. I'd like to see us actually take the initiative and just smash them where it hurts right from the off and not give them a chance, because I think that's the best way to nullify them. And I think the only way that can happen, and it's a hard one because we know we're going to have the officials against us, we've got the stadium against us, we are in that atmosphere, we're in that environment. However, if the players can switch off from that, as James has said many times, forget who you're playing, forget who the name on the front of the shirt is, forget the stadium, and just play the game that we've been playing. And I'm pretty sure Arteta will put them up for that. I think we've got every chance to really surprise a few people out there, because of course we haven't really been tested until we play Manchester City. We haven't been tested yet because we haven't played Spurs away. We haven't been tested because of blah blah blah. So another one that we can nail, put the final nail in the coffin and say, yeah, shut up, we are the real deal. But I just feel that pretty much the squad will pick itself. We know who's going to be where. James has been pretty decent with all of that this whole season, really, with his picks. But yeah, apart from Jesus, I think we know who's going to play and where the position is going to be. And then, of course, we've got the addition of, I'm not sure if he will be on the bench. We saw a bit of Emil Smith-Rowe, but I don't know if he's quite ready. But, he might be on the bench. And if he needs to come on to do a cameo and score a wonder goal again against the North London rivals, like even Saka did in previous season, I think it was, where they both scored. We might call on him. So I just feel that if we just get off to a fast start, forget who we're playing, I think it'll all be good. And we just got to get this. I just want to shut the media up every single time we play. Essentially, that's what I'd like to see.
Yeah, definitely. We could definitely do that if we beat their favourites. The media favourites. Still the case after they were still not achieving anything. James, how do you think it's going to play out, mate? I imagine the team is going to be Zinchenko in for Tierney, and then obviously everything else as it was. But how do you think it's going to play out? It's going to be interesting because, again, I think we'll have the possession again, a little bit like we did last year. But I think we just went a bit too gung ho. I think Arteta wanted to just prove a point, plant his flag basically, and just like show who we are. Obviously, we're a year or a couple of months down, more mature. But how do you think it's going to play out?
Well, you'll probably ask for predictions in a minute, but so I'll wait till then. But no, look, Conte's going to look at what Newcastle done, and he's pretty much going to say the same. He's like, pack and contain, try and hit them on the break, wind them up. If we can, time waste, a few little kicks here and there, wind them up. And I'm not one of these people that were absolutely livid at the way Newcastle played against us, considering how they're, we're top of the league. Teams are going to change how they play. They're like, well, why would I play football against Arsenal that have smashed pretty much, when they've played, when other teams have tried to play football against them, they end up 3 goals down. Or look at Bournemouth away, look at Brentford away. That when they tried to, they could have adapted and gone longer ball with, Solanke, Tony, and all them lot. They could have gone for that sort of thing, but they wanted to play foot, and they're like, yeah, look, I played football, and look what it got me. So every team's going to adapt to play us. So he's not, okay, he's not having the best of times lately in terms of a manager there, compared to the other places he's been. He's a serial winner, and he's at that lot. So, that's sadly that's sad for him, but great for me. But he's going to say he'll be drilling them all week on that Newcastle. They've all got all the footage. He'll be drilling it all week, same as that, boys, and then get it to Kane, Son, or Kulusevski, because all of a sudden, all them boys that were injured forever, they're all back. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. They've had the faith healer or something go in there and cure them all. They got the 7 Dragon Balls or whatever and made the wish, and they're all healthy again or whatever. But no. We got to start, like Neil said, start fast and play our game against Newcastle. That first initial 10 to 15 minute period, we were all over him. But Xhaka, if you remember, he just didn't get that final, it went past him and he was like, and the last pass and everything else like that. If we do like we did when Rosicky thumped it in after 2 minutes or whatever it was that time, honestly, if they have to come out and play, I think that we're going to narrowly beat these guys because it's going to be an intense game. But if we score early and they have to come out, we could be 3s or 4s if we want to. We could absolutely on them, and that's what I'd love. That's not what I think is going to happen, but that's what could happen, especially if we score, 5 or 10, because they'll panic, especially with their fans and the way things are going at the moment. They're not happy, they're not spending. They've all, this guy that they wanted to buy and they thought was done. Chelsea have all of a sudden, Chelsea's that person that copies your homework in school, mate. If I was Arsenal, I'd be going to all the journos, really bad players. I don't want to name, I don't want to name and shame anybody, but players that we don't want, I'd be like, oh yeah, look, Arsenal, we really want to sign this guy, and that Todd Bowley would go, oh, Arsenal want him. Just all the really terrible player, bobbins footballers that you could think of. Say that Arsenal want him and then Chelsea buy him. That's what I'd be doing.
The only thing I'd say, I agree with you. I think it will be narrow, only because I look at the performances we've had away to the big team so far. Obviously, that's United game we should have won, which we all know why that happened, and the Chelsea away performance. So I think it will be.
Liverpool was 3-2 as well. I know that was at home. Yeah.
In terms of like away from home, I think the way we impose ourselves in those 2 games, especially I think we'll have the ball, we'll dominate. But I just think it's again how we start and if we show that confidence right from the beginning, I think that will be enough. We should have got a few more goals against Chelsea, scored a few times against Chelsea. We had a good goal ruled off against United. It's just that I think we're a miles better team than they are. We just know that they get a leg up from the officiating and they play at home. Obviously, the Northampton derby of recent times it's favoured the home team. I can't remember the last time they beat us there in the league. I know they beat us in the League Cup a couple of years ago, but the last time they beat us in the league, I think, was when they had Bale, wasn't it? I think I might be wrong. I'm not sure. And obviously, the last time we beat them was Rosicky, wasn't it? Was in the league, I think. It's been a while. It's been a while, but I think because of the way we play and the way we dominate, and especially Zinchenko is going to be key as well. He's going to be having whoever's on that side going the other way. So, it's going to be interesting. But what would your prediction be, Neil? What do you going to take a leaf out of Jack's book? Well, what do you reckon the score is going to be, and who do you fancy scoring?
Well, as I said, I think they'll go ahead with a Kane penalty, even though we're on the front foot, and they're going to smash them 3-1.
Nice.
I think it'll be Saka, Nketiah, and Martinelli, 1 each.
Nice. Front 3 again.
Yep, 100%. I think Martinelli, by the way, I didn't mention him.
He's brilliant against Oxford. He was the only one that sort of is level throughout the game.
He's one of the only ones that stood out in both halves.
Yeah.
He was really superb. His energy levels, oh my God. And he's played in the World Cup and he's come back and look at him, love
Yeah.
him to bits.
Yeah, amazing. So Neil's go 3-1. Kane scored first. What are you going with, James?
I think we're going to win. I'm very confident we're going to win, and I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal. And I think Eddie's going to score. But do you know what? I might have another look as well at the old. I won't promote them on the channel because we don't do adverts. But I will be looking at my betting apps. I won't say which one I use, and I'm going to have a look at Gabriel.
Oh, you just
I fancy a set piece. I fancy
thunder.
a set piece and him blaring, or Salib.
Yeah.
I think someone.
Yeah,
I think someone like that, one of the defenders, is going to leap above someone in the box on a corner or a free kick or something.
Yeah,
I fancy it. I really do. But
yeah,
sorry, mate.
Yeah, I was going to go Gabriel. I was going to go Gabriel 1-0 actually, because that's kind of what happened last against Chelsea, wasn't it? So yeah, I think
we got the two best centre backs in the box, mate. Their finishing is so underrated. They're really, really good finishers. Them two.
I want Saliba to have a corker of a game as well.
You could do with a goal as well.
He needs a game. I think it's slightly dipped, and I think because of what happened to him in the World Cup, didn't really play. Yeah. So I really want him to have a corker of a game, for sure. Yeah.
I hope your friend Stevens man has a big game. Against West Ham when he was bouncing the people off him, old Ben White.
Yeah.
I hope if he's got Son on his side, because you don't know if it's going to be cool because they switch him over, you don't know which one's going to be on which. I hope he bounces. I hope when he's on the floor or whatever, I hope he looks up and down. Like, get up. Yeah. I love Ben White, man. What a guy. What a guy. Especially with that macho man, Randy Savage tan at the moment. Love him even more. It's unbelievable. What a bloke. What a man.
I don't know what's going on there. That we could have another podcast on that, probably. How and why. But
Mr. Marbella, isn't he? He's just Mr. Marbella. He loves it.
But so we're all going for wins. Obviously, City. I think City lost. I think they're out of the Carabao, so that's a bit of a dent. They've got United early. Is it Saturday?
It's the early kickoff. Yeah, do you know what? I can see United getting something out of that game.
Yeah. I think Rashford's on fire at the moment. We've got to keep an eye on him when he comes down next week. And so the way they're playing, they could drop points there, but City is City in it. They could just flick a switch and you know what I mean, just absolutely murder them. But so hopefully a positive and 3 points out of that place, at that backwater in the other side of North London. And speaking of which, we've got the club announced the new signage that's going to be behind or on the Emirates Stadium, and looks immense. We've got a couple of clips here of it. So you've got Suffolk, which touches on the academy. They've basically done a fantastic job. They touched all the bases. They've got the history there, obviously both sides. You've got obviously Rocky Rocastle there. You've got the guys on the other side from 1930s, Herbert Chapman's brilliant era, 1886, and obviously someone's been watching a new podcast.
Where'd they get that one from?
I don't know where they got that from,
that one's my favourite. It's where my season ticket was, so I'm biased. It's so class, mate.
It's like a little Easter egg.
I love the Arsenal nose in there as well.
It's brilliant. It's really good.
Easter egg thing to it, because you look around, you've seen all different faces and different people, and it's just fantastic, And you got obviously the Invincibles of the women, you got the Invincibles of the men's. Just little things like that. It's just the way they've done it. It could have been just easy just to plaster them in a some sort of collage, whatever.
And I love all the squad's names are on the bottom of the trophy as well. All the players that were in the team. I think that's a really nice touch. Whoever they commissioned to do this has been absolutely brilliant. I know they get a bad rap for some of the stuff that they've done in the past, but all of this I think is absolutely excellent. I love it,
and especially this as well. This is a really nice touch. Just touching on the ridiculous fan base we have all over the world, which is why we're so why the journalists and the pundits, and they know that you talk about Arsenal in a negative way, especially, you're going to get some bites, not just from here. You're going to get bites from all over, every sort of fan base you see on there, and they know what they're doing. But yeah, fantastic support, a brilliant, really, really brilliant initiative from Arsenal. Whoever decided to like you said, commission that, it's well worth the money. And it'd be great to see it in the flesh, and I'm sure there'll be loads of people going there early. A bit like what with the wraparound with all the players. People used to get down to the ground early and walk around it, just so they could see all the players and everything, and all the images. So yeah, great stuff. So thanks for watching, and thanks for your time, guys. It's been a brilliant chat as usual. Again, hopefully we'll be back next week with a review of the derby and the 3 points and the win, and then a look ahead to the United game. The big games are coming thick and fast. Big shout out to you two as well for the Purely Arsenal work you do on there, and get into number 10 in that rankings. It's brilliant. You're ahead of some big names there. So well done on that. And
to you, Michael. You're part of it as well.
Well, yeah, I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but I came into it pretty late, didn't I? So
you were 21. That's the sad thing. If they let it go on a bit more, you'd have been in there. It's just rude to cut it off at 20.
I don't want to do a full kit thingy. John Terry throwing on the kit. And
should have done the 49 best Arsenal podcast. You'd have been in there. In my channel that's not had an upload for about 6 months would have been in that. I'd have made a 49.
Can I just say,
go on,
about the work that Arsenal do, just with what you were just showing us there. I've always felt that the club is just so ahead of its time in regards to all of this stuff, going through the last few decades, really, in its innovation and in its thought process about the community, everything. It's just so ahead of its time. And I think the only thing for me that would finish that stadium off is either a statue of the professor or a stand being named after him. I would love that.
I think that.
So love that.
Yeah, statue. I'm sure statue's coming. I think they mentioned it. They said that it's on its way.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think the Emirates, they renewed their sponsorship of the ground a couple of years ago, so it's going to be like that for another 8 years, I think, or something like that. Or whatever. But you would think.
Just want to add.
Yeah, go on.
Just to correct Neil as well. You made a great point there, Neil. But the thing that will really top it off is the Premier League that we're going to win, being lifted there in May, mate. Because there's a generation of people that go there now, Neil, that have never seen this club win. I know I'm only speaking as a 31-year-old man, but there are a generation of kids there that have brought a lot of energy, but they've still never seen us win a league. And you know what? I'll be more than as much as I'd be happy that we've won it. I'm happy for everyone else that's gone there.
Absolutely,
because that's the thing. That stadium, that's the only thing that's made that stadium, not as. It needs a bit of its own history, We've got so much history. It's just not really. It's not. Yeah, I know. It's just not at that ground yet. I know. It's going to be. It's going to be there. We know it's going to be there. Neil, you don't tell me lies, mate. You told me for the pre-season games we're winning the league. You don't have to try and correct me, Neil. I know. I'm backing you, mate. You don't tell me lies. You've never lied to me in my life, mate.
Oh, thank you.
No, thank you, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure. Hope you have a good.
Michael, we're trying to get you to 49.
Yes, I'm trying to hang it back a little bit. Don't worry, I know what you're doing, mate. We're. And just hopefully, a good result, a good performance at the weekend, and then we'll do the business against the old enemy. I've been Michael Harris. Let me see if I can do this right this time. He's been James Johnson, yes, and he has been Neil Shah. Thanks for watching. Come on, you Gunners. Let's do the business. Let's shut those shadow dwellers. Trophy dodgers.
You've gone over now, so keep sling the insults. Just have a list of insults, mate. Just keep going.
God.
Come on, you guys. Let's do the video.
Go on.
Cheers, guys.
Brilliant.